Hello everyone, welcome to Tips and Tricks. Today we are going to see about errors in chaining. The errors in chaining can be of three types: cumulative, compensating and personal error. The cumulative error is that which occurs in the same direction and it tends to accumulate. Whereas compensating error, it can occur in either direction, and since it occurs in either direction, it tends to compensate. And the next type of error is personal error committed by the person who is taking the reading. Seeing the main errors, the first one is incorrect length of the tape. So when we use a wrong length of the chain, the error will always be cumulative, because if the length of the chain is more, the measured distance will be less, and hence the error will be negative. So the same happens when the length of the chain is going to be less. So an incorrect length of the tape will always produce a cumulative error. It can be either positive or negative depending upon the size of the tape. Next is bad ranging. Say there are 2 points. I need to find the distance between A and B, and I am setting a an intermediate station here. Whereas this is my true line, I am setting an intermediate station here away from the true line. So what happens is, when I am measuring the distance between A and B, I will have to pass through this terminal point and then reach B. So when I have not ranged properly, the distance covered by my tape is going to be greater than the actual distance. This is my actual distance, but here I am going to cover a distance that is going to be greater than the actual distance. So in this case, the error will always be cumulative and it will always be positive. Any deviation from the main line will always produce an positive error. Next is, the tape is not stretched horizontally. In a sloping ground, when we are measuring the horizontal distance, if we have not stretched the tape horizontally, then it will cause a positive error and it will always be cumulative. This is about the tapes not being stretched in the sloping ground. And the next is, the tape is not stretched tight, but both the ends are in line. In this case, we can imagine that these are my points, and the ends of the tape are in my points, but it is not stretched tight. So the tape is going to be somewhat like this, away from the original line. So in this case also, I am going to measure a distance greater than the distance that is supposed to be measured. So that is a positive error, and my error is also cumulative because it tends to accumulate with every reading. Next is temperature. The error due to temperature occurs when we use the temperature different from that at which it was calibrated. It may have been calibrated at one temperature and now we may be using it in another temperature. If you are going to use it in a temperature greater than the temperature in which it was calibrated, then the tape or the chain will expand. So when it expands, the measured length will be less, and therefore the error will become negative. Whereas if the temperature in which we are measuring is low, then our tape tends to shrink. When it is shrinking, the measured distance is going to be more, and hence the error will be positive. In either case, the error is always going to be cumulative. Next is variation in pull. In this case, there are chances for both cumulative error and compensating error. We know that 8 kg at 20 degrees centigrade is our standard pull. I will get a compensating error when I am going to use an irregular pull. Say there are going to be around 10 pulls in a measured distance, and all those 10 pulls are going to be irregular. It can be 8 plus or minus 1, anything. We cannot determine what is the pull. We are not going to give a definite amount of pull. We are just going to give a irregular pull. In that case, the pull can be maybe greater than 8 or less than 8. In that case, the error will be compensating. Whereas in the case where it is going to be cumulative is, I am going to apply only one degree of pull throughout the 10 pulls that I am going to do. Say I am going to do only 7 kg pull. or I'm going to do only 9 kg pull for all the times I'm going to use it. So in this case it will be either positive or negative, because 8 kg pull is my standard pull. I'm going to use a pull that is going to be less than 8 or greater than 8. So in this case it will be cumulative, whereas when I'm using an irregular pull, it is going to be compensating. The next one is sag. As we have seen here, the tape is not stretched horizontally. The same case is applicable to sag. In sag, say it is a sloping ground or the ground has undulations, so you have to lift the chain or tape so as to find the distance. In both the cases, when sag occurs, the error will be cumulative and positive. Next is error in marking the tape lengths. This is purely a personal mistake committed by the person who is taking the reading. Next is disturbing the arrows while taking the readings. This is also a personal mistake. Error in reading the tape. This is also a personal mistake. Incorrect counting of tape lengths. This is also a personal mistake. Whereas these errors, they have a pattern and they are categorized into cumulative or compensating errors. So these are the types of errors and their properties. I'll see you guys again in the next video. Keep learning and please to like, share and subscribe. See you guys. Bye.